Hello everyone, welcome to Pitch Deck Clinic, where over the few minutes we're going to examine a pitch deck Newa Design, a very cool application. We're going to meet Emily. So Emily, tell us in a few seconds the elevator pitch.
Hi, I'm Emily, the founder of Newa Design. Most people aspire to live in a home that's functional and expresses who they are. However, 1 in 4 people in the UK aren't happy with the current state of their home because they lack the confidence, the time, and the finances to improve it. They find the home furnishing marketplace daunting and the interior design industry inaccessible. Newa Design is an online interior design platform connecting homeowners and renters with emerging interior design talent to democratize interior design. We provide convenient and affordable design advice so that everyone can create a home that works for them, reflects their style, and improves their daily life. At Newa Design, we believe every home deserves good design.
That was a really great pitch. Thank you very much. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the design. So having told me that you're going to find designers match up and so on, I would expect lush graphics everywhere. I would expect to see different design styles. So the first one, sort of the slightly monochromatic thing, I think you're not doing yourself the service that you might do, because I want to project the design style that I see in the deck with the things that I will see on the site. So the next thing is, when I get to this, I guess, I mean, that's one design style, right? So when I get to the next slide, will I see other design styles? Was the first black and white in this, or is it a bit of a mix-up? So I think that thing one on the look and feel, if you imagine that the slide deck in a sense represents the designers you might want, and I as the investor, and inviting you into my house at the same time. Okay, so as I'm going through this and hopping into the messaging and proposition, as the investor, if I hadn't heard your excellent pitch beforehand, I would be wondering what this is. So not happy at home. I'm thinking, okay, is this an online furniture store? Is this a made.com? And improve home, it sounds like a made.com, right? By the way, the imagery is a little different page to page. So it's gone from monochrome to color to monochrome again. And I think that consistency would be really good. So, and you're still establishing the proposition. And eventually you get to the point that it's a site where I can find an amateur designer or an aspiring designer, an up-and-coming designer to redo my home. So so by the way, I think this is a really excellent idea. But I think you're missing a few key tricks. Okay. So one of the things is whether a slide deck should acknowledge COVID. And in fact, whether it should embrace COVID. So initially we thought, yeah, COVID will be come and gone, but really COVID's going to be here for ages. You know, you'll have developed your first 3 iterations, you'll be out, you'll have your second round, you'll be on Series A before COVID goes away. So I think of all the things I've seen, this is something, and I've been noodling over this beforehand, where you can go out and embrace COVID. I mean, not literally, but imagine that the simple proposition is everyone's got a shit Zoom background. Get your Zoom for £199, transform your Zoom background, not with one of those awful Zoom virtual backgrounds. You know, somebody comes along, tells you to get rid of the washing, puts a bunch of nice throws. You know, you've got a glorious background with flowers and so on, so you've thought about it. So let's now keep going. So thing one, by the way, was, you know, embrace the times and leverage. Don't pretend COVID doesn't exist. You do say it's an online proposition, which is fantastic. Let's keep going. So it's an online platform that connects homeowners and renters to emerging designers. So I think at this point, I am thinking it's a marketplace. Okay. You've told me it's a single branded experience. I think one of the key things, number 2, that I think is missing here is, as an investor, I'm always trying to get an idea of how far along you are in the development. Is it just an idea, or is something built? And I think at this point, I would be looking to see some designs of the site. So obviously, had you built something, you would be able to show a site, there'd be a page, there'd be 27 different or 3 or 7 different designs on the page. I would see different styles from the Indian bazaar to the, Bauhaus minimalist. And I would see that, for example, the designers had ratings, and you'd rate the designers, maybe the designers would rate the customers. There'd be different price points, the $199 makeover, the money's no object. And I think also, if some information to see how it would work. For me as the tech person, I'm always interested in how it's going to work. Is it going to be augmented reality? Will I, just have a Zoom call and point the camera around? Will I send still images? So all of these little things don't mean you have to have built stuff, but by showing it as if it's built, you're really closing a big gap between an idea, which is fundable for a very small amount, because really no one bets on an idea, you're betting on execution. And, we've built it. So if you haven't built it yet, fake it till you make it is in the nicest way, the startup slogan. So if you showed pictures of the site with all of these things, if you showed the answers to the questions I'd raised, then I think you have closed that gap. So let's now look to the next point as we get to the financials, essentially. So you've covered what it is, and now I'm expecting to see what's the market size, what's your revenue. Let's take a look. So the leading online interior. Okay. I think, by the way, you've said it's online. So why do you have to limit yourself to London? An investor is always looking for you to start focused, but show world domination. London, of course, is a decent sized city, but there's no reason that it needs to be just London, I'm guessing, given that it's online.
Definitely.
Okay. So I think here you are just on a slight imagery piece. So let's take a look. So there are 27 million households. So I think here you've got, just imagery wise, you've got 3 circles which sort of go downwards. Downwards is never a good thing, right? People think that's like revenue going down. So you may show one circle, which is, 27 million, and then, 270,000 or something, being 1% of that is your target market by 2025, right? And then you might also, by the way, just put the number rather than 1%. 270,000 is now on the next slide. I was expecting to see what the revenue numbers would be on the next slide from that, but you've jumped to the team. So I think
there was revenue at the top of the slide. Is how we've calculated there based on our price point and the size that we could potentially generate the revenue there.
Okay, so thank you for drawing my attention to that, and I totally missed it. And I think I missed it for 2 reasons. One, I think there's a story, which is you show the market and then you show the revenue. I think I would also expect to see the revenue year by year. Is it going to grow 3x year on year? Does it tail off very soon? These are the key things the investor is going to want to see, because they want to see this funding round and the next round after that. I think the other thing is, 1% doesn't match 73 out of 59. So something, your eye is just going to make some deductions. It doesn't have to be logically 1%. That's more like a 0.1 something percent. But how do you, get from this figure to this figure? How does this figure relate to that figure? I would expect to see 27 million households and the 59 billion next to that. And then, of course, you need to explain, what that is. Okay. So now the team. I think I would, obviously, the thing that's drawing attention to itself on the page is this missing circle, right? It's screaming, why am I not here? So you might want to think of slightly different creative treatment here. Again, I think, given that you're wanting me to buy into this lush makeover of my apartment, I'd be expecting a lot more lush graphics here. And of course, you can play this out. There's a really nice pedigree on the founders as well. So now we jump back to the financials. So I think the founders slide is in the wrong place. It would be at the end. Here, I would expect to see made.com, perhaps, because I would just have expected, rightly or wrongly,
Interesting.
for it to be there. I mean, they talk about design whenever you go that it's designed, it's online.
Yeah, so we focus purely on other people offering design services and whether it's online and offline as kind of very direct competitors as opposed to products and home furnishing decor.
Right, and that's a great point, okay, because you've defined the market one way, but investors and or consumers may perceive that other things are competitors. All right, so the business model, I think this all looks quite complicated. I think here, I like, the double commission sounds good. There is, so this is really not so much your business model, this is your consumer offering. So I would have brought this right to the front, going, here's our offering, pretend it's someone's coming to your website, transform your home, no more terrible Zoom calls, the 79, special or whatever it might be. And then there's a picture of someone with a mobile phone pointing at their room, and suddenly everything's brought to life for what I think is a really good idea. Okay. So I think in this case, a fab idea is slightly struggling to come through the slide deck, and I'm hoping as a result of that, it will be transformed. All right, so go to market. I think, again, I would probably look to put this as a timeline. So what's happening in 2020, what's in 21, 22. Are you focused? For me, focus is super important. Is it just a B2C proposition? Are you going to B2B? Are you having partnerships? There are two of you at the moment. How are you going to divide your time between all of these things?
Sure.
And then, of course, rightly, you've got the traction slide. I think over here, you're pulling my eye in two different ways. You've got some set of traction, but then you've got some big graphics, and they're fighting with each other. So that's something that you might want to think about how you do it differently. And I think also, the 14K in revenue, I'm guessing is 14K in total rather than month on month. And as such, the investor is going to delve into, presumably you guys did that direct yourselves. And now we come to the key part of this, which I'm guessing in the next page, you're going to tell me how much you're raising. And so the key part, the gist of this, is that today it's the two founders who've done some work personally to establish the idea. You've got some revenue that proves your hypothesis, and now you wish to build the site, find other people, and scale. And the question is, as you go through a funding round, your first friends and family round might be 50K or 150K SEIS. Then you may be looking for 350 to 700 for a seed round. Then you may be looking for $1 million plus Series A round. And from the things you've shown in the slide deck so far, and now we come to, for the investor, the big reveal, what will the number be on the next page? Okay. And I would think from what I've seen so far, sort of like a 150K SEIS round, because of the things you've shown me that you've developed so far. Okay. So when I get to the next slide, and very nicely and predictably, you've got the ask on this page. I think the ask is a little higher compared to the stage that you're at, or the slide deck needs to evolve, as I've suggested, to show as if more had been developed, so that there's a closer match between what is and the size of the round you're looking for. Okay. I think also you may not mentioning the magic words SEIS and EIS. I don't know if you have your advance assurance. It sounds eminently SEIS and EIS-able, so you definitely want to put those magic words in. And I think here also, you're slightly mixing two concepts, which is the longevity of the money and what you're spending it on. So is this about marketing? Is this about software development? Is it about team? I'd like to see a sort of a pie chart of the breakdown so that I understand what your scaling factor is and when and why you're going to need more afterwards. So, and then very nicely, you end picture perfect with the web URL, the thank you, the email. Emily, thank you so much. That's been awesome. I love the idea. Anyone who'd like to invest, hit up Emily. You've seen the details. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.